Okay, well, where we left off was the sort of secondary shapes, which were the sort of intermediate size shapes. So that size, that size, that size. And we've sort of done that now throughout the whole painting. They're all what I call secondary size shapes. Now, it's important to go right around the painting and complete every part of it like that. And then, once that's done, with the same brushes, but with a little bit more fresh paint, so that if you want to add colours to it, we can just add them by putting fresh paint on top of what the paint by now has gone sort of semi-wet, semi-dry, so it's excellent for putting in detail. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to put more detail into these secondary size shapes. One thing to remember with detail is don't put any detail in unless you're very sure where it is and why you're putting it there. So look at your subject matter, which is either in this case the photo or from real life. But so look at those smaller shapes, and then I'll show you then I've got one softer brush, which is a soft synthetic brush, which is excellent for, say, highlighting areas that needs a slight lighter highlight. And with that, you can let your brush go a bit free and indicate the sort of organic nature of the flower, and this will indicate. This detail sort of starts to suggest the realism aspect of the painting. So the more detail is in the picture, the more real it will become. But not to start adding the detail without knowledge of why you're putting it there. See this part here, it needs a bit of a dark tone to sort of emphasize the petal there. See, so by altering the obviously the finger is also an excellent tool. A lot of painters have used their fingers. So now also you can define and draw more into the subject. So find the accurate shapes that are from your reference and sort of place them into the picture now. So this is all about drawing the sort of line and a little bit of an accuracy of colour as well. So here on this side was a bit of yellow, so I'll just put that in. See, because in nature there is just so much happening, there's so much going on that you cannot do it all in one go. You need to really understand you can only put a certain amount, your brain can only process so much information at a time. And that's why we paint in different stages, so that we can add layer of knowledge onto the picture. It's impossible to do it all in one go unless you're like an absolute genius. So here it's a bit darker. So see how the paint is nice and sort of sticky, and that stickiness makes it excellent for putting detail on. And you can sometimes you don't notice much what you've done, but so in this instance I'm working with two colours. One is a sort of a light green and the other is a white, and with those two colours I can start to sort of create a bit of depth in the modelling. So I'll just add a little bit more dark to it, because this corner is a slight darker tone, see? So slowly you start to hollow out that form and give it 3 dimensions. So this, again, this is all about drawing the accuracy, you know, and working, and also working with the with your own sense of proportion and rhythm, not just from the. I tend to work a little bit away from the photo sometimes because I like to get more flow and rhythm into it, which I think I don't enjoy complete 100% accuracy in photorealism. I find it a little bit stifling, so I tend to allow certain distortions and allow for a flow that I sort of enjoy to enter into the picture. See, see if the camera could just come up sort of close and see how delicately you can add strokes and edges. Another thing is the edges. Yeah, they're sometimes in focus. If you want something to go behind, a soft focus is sort of required. So you make a soft focus. I'm just exaggerating here so that you can see, and then a sharp outline near it. So this pops forward from that. See, so that's another sort of tool that you can use in your picture for if you want something to be in front or behind. The edges are often the key element in that, because your eye tends to pick those things up very subtly. Yeah, so here there's a lot of movements like that, so I can just wax them in. So you don't have to copy every detail. I think it's important in painting, well, the type of painting I enjoy is a sort of a bit loose as well. So there's a realism, but there's also some sort of fresh brush strokes happening. So I'll put them. And you're still got to be mindful of the local colour areas, so this overall shape here is darker than everything here. So you've got to make sure nothing here is as light as anything in there, because this side of the petal is in a slight shadowy part of the picture. So that's called local colour, to keep the local colours and local tone in this instance, to keep them in their areas. And so nothing here can be, it can only go darker, it can't go lighter in there, because that's the shadow side of the petal. So, okay, well, I think that's, again, a little bit here. See how you can play with the edges, and I want this petal to be in front of this one, so I put a sharp edge on there and sort of play with the thing. And this side is lit up from the side. The light from this picture is coming from here. See, so everything on this side is lighter than on that side. So that's true for the entire motif. See, so here we can just pour a lot of white onto it. It gets absorbed into the yellow. Sometimes if it's too wet still to do it, just wax them down and then later come back later, maybe even tomorrow, to that area. Now I've got to see what happens here. And there's a darker move. It's the wrong brush, Robert. There you go. So just a little bit of blue or violet to cool it, and that. So that flows into that, and there's a soft edge in there. And then here is a whole new petal from the side coming out. So again, a bit of fresh white, quite thick, and that sits in front of there like that, and runs into that one. So again, sharp edge here, and then I might, there's a little bit of white there, and then a soft edge here, see? So I'll soften that edge and blend it a bit, and even in there, and harden that edge. Oh, not enough white yet, so plonk a bit of white on there. Yeah, just a bit more detail. So it's important to let the viewer know what is in front of what and what's behind what. Again here, it runs into there like that. Okay, so we'll leave it now for that. So you've got a fair idea now.